We previously concluded that for a firm in a perfectly competitive market, marginal revenue is equal to average revenue, which is equal to the price dictated by the market. So if MR is equal to P, that means marginal cost should also be equal to P because of this and this. Because of these two, this follows. Marginal cost should be equal to the market dictated price, which is my first condition for maximizing profit and identifying the magical quantity Q naught where my profit will be the maximum. The second condition that governs the quantity at which the profit is maximum for a firm is the one that links the quantity Q naught with the marginal cost of production. So the second condition states that the marginal cost must be non-decreasing at Q naught. So what do you mean by marginal cost being non-decreasing at the magical quantity or the magical figure Q naught, which gives us the maximum profit? So let's take the help of a graph to understand this. So let me draw a graph showing quantities on the x-axis and the cost of production on the y-axis. So usually if you see the short-term cost curve, it will be typical in this fashion. Now if I have a price line over here, which is P, which is the price that is given by the market to all the firms in a perfectly competitive market. Now you'll see that my cost curve, the marginal cost curve, is decreasing over here. It decreases to the lowest point and then goes on increasing, right? So there are 2 points where the marginal cost curve cuts the price line. So now I can take this point and this point where the marginal cost to manufacture an additional quantity of that commodity is equal to the price I sell it for in the market. Now, which of these is my Q naught? Is this Q naught or is this Q naught? Let's call this Q1 and this is Q2. So why or how should I determine what is my magical Q naught? So the second condition says marginal cost must be non-decreasing at Q naught. So over here the marginal cost is decreasing as the cost curve intersects the price line. But at this point the marginal cost curve is rising. It's increasing when it cuts the price line. So basically the condition says this can't be my choice of Q naught, whereas this has to be my choice of Q naught. So Q2 is my Q naught. Now what is the logic behind this? The logic is pretty simple. At this point, at Q1, the marginal cost on the left side of this point, the cost of manufacturing every additional unit is higher than the price that you can get for the end commodity that you manufacture. So obviously, you can't be making profit over here. Whereas here again, at this point, the price that you command in the market is the same as the marginal cost of manufacture, but for every additional item from there on, your profit is increasing. Hence, this is the point that can be Q naught, and it can never be this point. So that is the logic behind condition 2. So the third condition has actually two subconditions. One, it says a firm in a perfectly competitive market will not produce any goods when the average variable cost is greater than the price that the market is giving. In other words, for a firm to be in a profit maximizing position, the price that is given by the market should be greater than or equal to the average variable cost in the short run. And in the long run, the price that is given by the market should be greater than the average cost to manufacture the commodity. Now, what does this mean? So let's again take the help of a graph. So let's go to the first condition. So what I've done in this graph that you can see on the board is I've drawn three curves. So if you recall the concepts we have studied in the last chapter, we had the marginal short-term marginal cost curve, which dips initially and then reaches the lowest point and then rises, right? And you also have two other curves, the short-term average cost and the average variable cost. So the average variable cost is this curve, and the SMC intersects the average variable cost at its lowest point. And again, you have the short-run average cost, which is slightly higher because variable costs will be added with fixed cost to give you the average cost. So this curve will be slightly higher than the average variable cost curve. Now, with these three curves in place, if you recall the last condition, condition number 2, we said that in the short-run marginal cost curve, there are 2 points where the price line could possibly cut it. So P is the price being offered by the market. Now this point we discard because of condition 2. We take the other point and we'll name it as Q1, a quantity Q1. And you will notice that the price line is below the average variable cost. What does the condition say? Price line has to be greater than or equal to average variable cost. So I am taking the situation where the price being given by the market is less than the average variable cost. It's less. The average variable cost curve goes here for the firm that we are hypothesizing, whereas the price given by the market is less than the average variable cost. The two curves or the two lines do not meet. Now in such a condition, at Q1, I draw a straight line to cut the average variable cost to find out at this quantity Q1, what is my average variable cost that's given by point B, and extend it also across to the y-axis, which gives me my price and cost. So point E is where a line parallel to the x-axis cuts the y-axis. Now if you just observe this, what is the total revenue that the firm is making at this point Q1? So total revenue is, remember, it's P into Q. So P in this case is the price that is being given by the market, right? So it is this height. So it is OP into quantity is Q1. So it's OQ1. In other words, it is the length and breadth of this rectangle. So it is the area of rectangle OQ1AP. Now, what are the total variable costs being incurred in producing quantity Q1? Now, again, the quantity being produced is OQ1, whereas the cost incurred is OE. The cost incurred is OE. So again, you have OQ1 into OE. In other words, it's the area of rectangle OQ1BE. So clearly, if you observe this, you will see that the second rectangle has a larger area than the first rectangle. So this rectangle, clearly from the figure itself, this rectangle is of a larger area compared to this rectangle, which means the total revenue being made is less than the total variable cost. So the question of profits does not arise at all. All the more, what's also happening is that this is the extra cost that you're incurring beyond what the market is giving you in the form of revenue, right? And you will have the average cost still higher. The average cost is still higher, which means the total fixed cost is not yet taken into account. So if you add that, you're actually making a loss at this particular quantity, which means there is no sense for the firm to stay in the market and keep producing these many quantities at this particular price. This particular quantity will become feasible only if the price offered by the market rises above this curve. Only if this line, price line, rises above this curve, only then does it make sense for the firm to stay on in the market. That's why the first condition, the price offered by the market must be greater than or at least equal to the average variable cost in the short run. Now again, in the long run it differs. So we'll have a look at that short. If I take the same logic to my long run, again here the condition states that the price offered by the market should be greater than or equal to the average cost. So what is average cost? It is the summation of the average variable cost and the fixed cost and the total fixed cost, right? So again, if you look at the graph, I have taken two curves. One is the long run average cost curve and the long run marginal cost curve. So the long run marginal cost curve dips initially and then rises and cuts the long run average cost curve at its lowest point, right? So now if I assume that the price line is here, which is below the long run average cost. Remember, we are comparing price line with average cost. And it says the price line should be greater. This line should be greater than or equal to the long run average cost. So I am taking a price line which is below the long run average cost. So I'm taking P to be less than average cost. So when I put the price line below average cost, what happens? You can just see. Again, I take quantity Q1. So the long run marginal cost curve is intersected at 2 points by the price line. Again, by condition 2, we discard this point, we take this point, and I extend a line all the way through point A up to point B on the long run average cost. And I extend it horizontally to meet the y-axis at E. Now, if you look at this curve, again, you will see that the total revenue given by the market is given by the area of this smaller rectangle, OQ1AP. Because the total revenue, again, by the same logic, is total quantity into total price, P into Q, which is the area of this smaller rectangle. Whereas the total cost incurred in manufacturing the commodity is given by the bigger rectangle, which is quantity Q1 multiplied by the cost OE, which is the area of this rectangle O Q1 BE. Again, visually itself, you can see that the area of the cost rectangle is bigger or greater than the revenue rectangle, which clearly tells that the firm only incurs a loss by continuing to manufacture and sell commodities at the respective cost and price lines, price points being offered by the market. So again, you see that the moment the price is less than the long run average cost, it does not make sense for the firm to stay in the market. So price line has to be greater than or equal to average variable cost in the short run, and price line should be greater than or equal to the average cost in the long run. So these two form the third condition that decide what should be our magical quantity Q naught at which a firm can start making the maximum profit.